Hi, my name is Phil. I like to talk about politics. In this video, I'd like to discuss the wild swing in outlook at the Institute of Directors that has taken place in just over a month's time over Boris Johnson's Brexit positioning. But first, if you'd like to be notified of daily news and political commentary, then please subscribe to the channel and click the bell notification icon. So first things first, who are the Institute of Directors? Well, as the name suggests, they are a lobby group that represents business leaders in the UK, including company directors and entrepreneurs. And when I say they've had a wild swing in outlook, really what I mean is their members. This isn't a reflection necessarily on executive members of any committee. But they have had a rather curious change of heart. Back in December, a poll of members found that there was positivity at last after the general election result. The highest confidence levels for UK businesses for 3 years, they said. Granted, that's been measured from a very low base, as there hasn't been any serious confidence amongst the business community since the Brexit referendum result was announced. But still, considering all of the twists and turns and all of the ups and downs of the Brexit process, Boris Johnson getting his large majority was what they considered the thing that was most worthy of their, positivity for the future. They thought this is the thing we needed. A government that actually has the majority to push things through. Because, I don't know, there must just not be this understanding that you could have a government that doesn't have the best interests of the country at heart, and a conservative government that doesn't have the best interests of the business community at heart. But now, just a month later, it seems that they have changed their minds somewhat. A more recent poll of members has found out that they do not have confidence to invest in the UK, and they aren't going to until they know what our relationship with the EU is going to be. The Institute of Directors has demanded that the government at least publish its negotiating objectives. What do you want of your relationship with the EU, they're saying. And the fact that they even have to say that, shows that although I'm sure they understand the business world very well, of course they do, they must be utterly clueless when it comes to politics. Any political observer not only knew that Boris Johnson had no plan for EU negotiations, but that it's politically impossible for him to adopt one. That these directors thought that his majority would mean that he could press on with a coherent plan for the future, for the future of the economy for British-based businesses, just exposes a lamentable level of naivety. But this is the reality of what a Boris Johnson power base means. He has no negotiating objectives for the Brexit talks to come. That's because his objective is to have no deal with the EU at all. All he's concerned about is making sure that he doesn't get the blame for it and suffer politically. If his objective is no deal with the EU, he doesn't need to achieve anything in negotiations with them other than to throw some blame around and maybe get a cup of tea and a biscuit out of it as well. And it also backs up what I've been saying about the retarding effects that Brexit will continue to have on our economy, even while we're still in the transition period and before the real teeth of Brexit are bared. 55% of these directors have said they will not make any investment decisions until they are certain that they understand what our future with the EU is going to be. That means that they will not make any investments until a deal has been agreed. They're not happy enough with just simply stating the negotiating objectives. They want to know what the outcome is going to be. And as for the other 45%, that doesn't mean to say they are just going to invest regardless, simply that they are not insisting on the deal first. Some may be waiting for the objectives to decide. Some may not be sure what they want to do. Some of them may have already made the decision that it's not worth it. And when it comes to the choice between a US and an EU deal, over 60% of these directors have said that the EU deal is absolutely vital. Only about 20% even consider the US deal important. I mean, bear in mind, we don't have one right now as a member of the EU yet. So British businesses are not that bothered about a US deal, let alone the particular deal that we are realistically going to get. The EU will be finalising its own objectives by the end of February, After agreement, of course, with all member states, they have a much more difficult process of getting these objectives decided. The UK government has no such barriers to forming these objectives. Boris Johnson alone has the power to decide them should he so wish. And given that he's argued for this outcome for years, you'd have thought he might have given some consideration to what they should be before now. So now it seems business leaders are beginning to see the real nature of the mad dogs who are now in charge. They may still be hoping that Johnson is playing his cards close to his chest, in which case I think there'll be another rude awakening in summer after agreements on a number of important areas are supposed to be concluded. Remember, it's all right talking about this transition period lasting up until the end of 2020. It's not supposed to be that the process isn't we negotiate for 11 years and then agree an all-encompassing deal in, say, December 2020. That's not how it's supposed to work. There's lots of different areas we're supposed to negotiate deals on, and we're supposed to have them concluded at various points throughout the year. Summer being the first one for a whole load of them. And yeah, I fear that by then, not only will these negotiations not be concluded on those areas, I don't think they'll even be seriously underway. So anyway, I hope you found the video interesting. If you did, don't forget to click the like button. And if you'd like to support the channel further, then please also click the Patreon link for details. And until next time, I'll see you later.